Good morning from beautiful Bali. Today I'd like to tell you the story about how I grew my business to the next level. I brought in one 20-foot container and put that into my home, and the next time I decided I would get a 40-foot container. I didn't actually even think about whether that would be able to fit into our street or the logistics of our end. I was just focused on buying the stock and filling up the container, which I did. And when it arrived in Melbourne, I'd had to prepare because I realised we struggled to get the 20-foot in our home, so this time it was a lot bigger. I bought a lot of stone, like water features and stone statues, so I knew they'd be fine outside in the garden, but I knew we weren't going to fit everything. So I got I think it was 3 metre by 6 metre galvanised iron shed and put that in the backyard and just put down a stone base. I had my carport, so the truck actually couldn't reverse up to the driveway near our carport where the 20-foot could, but there wasn't the turning circle for the 40. So it was actually out on the street, and I'd hired a forklift, and my brother Russell had come down. He had a forklift license, so he came down to help unload this container. So we were literally bringing it from the street down our side lane into the backyard. As we were bringing it in, I still remember it started to rain, and so I didn't want all my stock to get wet. So then we were quickly putting up marquees and putting tarps over stuff until we could sort it later, because you've only got so long to empty the container, because then they're going to come back and get it. So we just kept going and quickly unloaded it, or well, not quickly, it took a lot of hours, unloaded everything, and I must admit I was so overwhelmed, and everyone's kind of just looking at me like, where are you going to put this? And so I had to just put my fears behind me and just start to sort through where we were going to put stuff. So it wasn't going to fit in the two sheds I had in the backyard, so we had to start on the house. So people were holding up stuff, where am I going to put that? So mirrors ended up in the lounge room on every bit of spare wall. Lucky we had a wide hallway. I'd brought home heaps of paintings, so the paintings lived in our hallway with really just enough space to walk through the centre. We had, my son had moved out of home, so his room became a storage room, so a whole bedroom was also full of stock. And we did have a second lounge, which we called the kids' lounge. That also got filled for the time being with stock. So our house was ridiculous. The best part about it was I never had to clean, because you couldn't really clean. There was just stuff everywhere. So slowly I started to make my way through photographing. Like, even that was a huge job. And even though when the 40 came, I'd left my full-time job, so I could do photograph the small items on my own, but the larger items I would have to wait for Steve or Kale, or even if we had a visitor, to come and help me move it. I used my beautiful Bali doors as the backdrop, so I used to put, like, if I had a day bed, I'd put it in front of the Bali doors to photograph it. Still just selling on eBay, and so it was kind of often 7 days a week, because people would want to come and pick up things on the weekend. So often I had to be available, but of course I could work around family functions and things like that. So it was working quite well, and I was really enjoying it. Still often I was putting in late nights, and I remember a few times being on the computer, which was in our bedroom, and Steve would be asleep, and I'd just want to print something, but it would be maybe 2 a.m. and I'd think, will he wake up if I print it? Because I knew if he woke up he wouldn't be happy that I was still working. And so I'd hit print, and then the whole time I'd be anxiously looking over my shoulder to see if he'd budge. But lucky he was a heavy sleeper, and he wouldn't wake up. So yeah, I guess my business was growing, and it was still just me and the support of my family helping me moving furniture, and Arlene coming in when I needed her to help me with dispatch. Stay tuned for what happens next, because things shook up a bit after that. Crazy. The flower. It's got Good morning from beautiful Bali. My last day here today, so heading back down to Canggu. Oh, who cares? Well, my 20-foot container, and